Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is XCOM Enemy Unknown? Well, folks, it is late at night, and as we are well aware, the night is dark and full of terrors, and I have a confession to make. I think I might be a little bit obsessed with this game right now. So, as you're probably aware, this game came out on Tuesday at midnight, and as of right now, I've put 18 hours into it, and it's only Wednesday. Well, technically, the time that I'm recording this at is Thursday at about 1 in the morning. I have no idea why I'm recording this at 1 in the morning. I don't know, but I feel like, honestly, because I've played so much of this in the past few days, to the detriment of everything, I might add. My workload has been suffering. I have not been communicating with my spouse as much as I should. I guess Skype counts, right? She's only in the other room. Ugh, well, whatever the case, this game has taken over my life, and I think it comes down to the fact that I have a fairly big history with this game, at least the original anyway. XCOM came out in 1994. Wow. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Or more accurately, I don't, because I didn't buy it on launch. No, I actually didn't have a PC at that time. I bought it 5 years later on Sold Out Software. Oh yes, if you are a PC fan in the UK, maybe you remember Sold Out Software. Those were the guys that gave you a bunch of classics for £5, and it was pretty wonderful. XCOM Enemy Unknown being one of them, and oh my did I enjoy it. No question. So, I'm going to go into this, and you're more than likely going to see more than one video on this game, and I think it's really because doing a first impressions is, one, weird after you've done 19 hours, but yet, two, I still don't feel like I've even scratched the surface of it, because it's an XCOM game, and XCOM games are notorious time vampires, and progression through this game is very, very slow, unless, of course, you rush it, and I wouldn't recommend doing that at all, because that will result in you being horribly murdered. Okay, so before we start, let's have a quick look at the options menu. Look at video. Borderless window is available. I love this option. It's really nice. So it's nice that they've got that. Don't need either of these. This game runs at a ridiculously high frame rate. You're looking at maybe over 200 frames per second on high-end graphics cards. Those are your presets. Not a huge amount here and there, but this is not a particularly taxing game. You also have the ability to get rid of third-person cam, show action cam, so that's usually the whole, we're going to slow-mo down and do all this other nonsense, so you can get rid of all of that. Auto save and show enemy health. Can't imagine why you'd want to turn that off, but there you go. Aside from that, you can edit your key bindings and all the usual fare. There is a multiplayer mode of this. Again, I'll probably show you this in a future video. I just haven't been focusing on multiplayer. I mean, why would I? Multiplayer in an XCOM game, who cares? It's all about the single player. Now, this is my 6th game. I have failed the last 5. Most of these I was playing on classic difficulty, which is the recommended difficulty for anyone that's an XCOM veteran, and I was also playing Iron Man. Iron Man means that you cannot reload a save. You can't just hop back to a previous save state. It can't be done. It automatically saves your game whenever anything happens. So any decision, any mistake that you make, you have to live with it. And as far as I'm concerned, that is clearly the way to play it. So let's go into this game right here. This is the one that I've got the furthest on. So let's have a hop in, shall we? And we will see what is going on. Alright, so here you can see I have a 6-man squad. They're pretty well outfitted and fairly well upgraded, and we're going to be doing a UFO crash landing mission. I believe this is a large scout that we were able to shoot down. First things first, can I toss a battle scanner in that general direction? This is a new ability. I haven't actually had the chance to use this yet, mostly because my snipers keep getting killed before they get to level up to get it. So I'm just going to toss out a battle scanner, which should hopefully give me some information about what is up ahead. Okay, so that's what we got. No enemies on the radar just yet, and that is the side of the alien craft. Rather large little beastie. Okay, so those of you who watched the demo analysis probably know the basics of this. There is a what's the best way to describe it? We can call it a 2-move system. So if I move here, that's going to take up one of my movement pips, and then I can either move again, or of course I can use both movements to do a dash, Or I can put myself in Overwatch, I can shoot at an enemy, I can activate an ability, or I can hunker down and things like that. I'm going to Overwatch at this point, because that is the sensible way of doing things. Yes, it is. So I'm just going to dash forward there, because I know that there's nothing in this area, so I can safely move forward in something of a more aggressive posture. I want to be trying to use the heavy cover as much as possible here, rather than the light, because, well, light cover has a tendency of melting. Needless to say, advanced plasma weaponry tends to go through wood pretty quickly, so do not expect broken logs to provide a huge amount of cover against any more than one shot. Stuff will evaporate in this game. So the first thing to address is probably this movement system, and I've had now a great deal of experience with it in comparison to the demo. My opinion, I don't think, has changed all that much. I still miss a lot of the advanced action point management that was available in the previous games. Now, for those of you who don't know, in previous XCOM games, it was based on an action point system, and you could take many actions within one turn for your soldier. Here, you can take a maximum of 2 actions, except in certain very specific circumstances, I believe, with certain abilities. Let's just keep pushing our way forward here. There are no aliens there. The battle scanner clearly indicates that, so I guess they're all indoors. At least I have a couple of my guys in Overwatch. Well, I hear some nasty, horrible beasties over in that general direction. So that's the main entrance. I could blast my way through there, but I think just going through the main entrance makes more sense. So, on the subject of the movement system and the action points thing, I feel that previous XCOM titles allowed for more depth. They allowed for a greater degree of control over your soldier. The advantage with this from a tension standpoint is that you are able to, or more to the point, you are forced into a situation where you must commit to your actions. It's not a case of, oh, I'm just going to pop in here, then pop back out again. If you're going to run forward, then you're committed to that. And if you run right into the middle of a bunch of hidden aliens, then the chances are you are going to be horribly, horribly murdered. The game is very good at horribly murdering you, I might add. Very good indeed. I'll take a quick dash forward. If I spot aliens there, then I've got plenty of guys ready to try and snipe them off, but I have a feeling everything is inside the spaceship. Or alternatively, it could be on top of the spaceship, which is super annoying when that happens. Incredibly irritating. I had one mission where there were 3 thin men on top of the spaceship, and only at a very specific point on the map, like one square on the map, would they actually be revealed and come down and try and attack you. So I was running around for about 20 minutes trying to find the remaining aliens. It was incredibly annoying. Now, there is a sound system whereby it will show sound waves coming from a particular direction if you've gone too many turns without seeing an alien. So it's like, they're over there, guys, seriously. Unfortunately, that doesn't account for aliens that are above you. So it just points in random directions, which is rather irritating. Ah, yes. I have you with a variety of interesting rockets. I could just try and punch my way through the side, but I'd rather just go through the main entrance. Makes more sense. You get heavy cover on either side. Breaching is a fairly simple process and tends to be reasonably safe, surprisingly so. Also allows you to toss a few grenades in there and cause a great degree of havoc. So yes, action point system, not really a huge fan of it. The advantage, of course, is that it streamlines the entire process. So instead of spending a bunch of time moving one individual soldier, you can get it all done in a short period of time, which tends to shorten the length of the missions. Streamlining, I think, is something that XCOM needed to some degree, because honestly, it was a tad silly. In the original XCOM, I believe you could have up to 20 soldiers. You were moving each one individually, performing a wide variety of different actions, and yeah, it just took a huge amount of time. However, I feel they may have gone just a little bit too far with the streamlining. The first complaint I've already made to you, which is the action point system. The second one being that your maximum squad size is 6. Now, 20 is silly. 6 is arguably too small. And as with everything, when it comes down to basic design decisions, there are, of course, counterpoints to those kind of opinions. The counterpoint to that opinion is that it makes each of your squad members way more important, and you don't have these expendable guys. Like, an example would be, in the first XCOM game, there were some advanced strategies that involved essentially sending rookies forward as minesweepers or just as cannon fodder, complete and total cannon fodder. And I think it seems like they wanted to move away from that with this particular version. You can still send rookies forward as cannon fodder, but you're more likely to want to try and send forward, say, an automated vehicle. You have access to something called a shiv, which is a automated platform which you can use to take a few hits. You can even take cover behind it and things like that. So that's their compromise in that particular aspect of the game. Alright, there's going to be someone in here. We may be able to run and gun it and go and gun a few guys down, but you can open up doors and force fields without really having to worry what is inside. Oh, mutons, wonderful. Okay, yeah, these guys ain't messing around, and we've got a couple of thin men there as well, just to make matters even more irritating. I probably should have set up some Overwatch before I opened this, but this does at least give me an opportunity to try and divide and conquer rather than engage them all directly. Okay, so first thing I could do, I could run in here. Yeah, I mean, I might, actually. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've got an option here, so let's do some run and gun. So this guy has balls of steel. He's actually only using a default shotgun at the moment because I haven't had a chance to manufacture the advanced one that I was looking for. So I'm going to dash right in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rapid fire directly into the muton's face, which is, as you might imagine, fairly frickin' effective. And I know there's no one on Overwatch, so I should be able to get past him. He also has an ability which means the first Overwatch shot in his general direction will miss anyway. So he's not worried. He's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? He's just going to chill, and I'm going to put him down with a couple of rounds to the back of the head, hopefully. If I don't kill him, then I would be certainly in a pretty messy situation. Thankfully, I did. Oh, wow, it's the muton's turn. I had no idea. Oh, well, it's okay. These guys are in pretty decent cover, and I do have carapace armor, and pretty much everyone's wearing nano weave, which is a nice little accessory upgrade. So let's talk about inventory, shall we? So things about inventory in this game, it barely has one. Everything is done through the loadout screen. That's not something you get to really see in the demo. Now, the loadout screen consists of primary weapon, secondary weapon, which is going to be a pistol, one way or the other. And so far, the pistol upgrades have been entirely linear. Like, there'll be the normal pistol, then the laser pistol, and the plasma pistol. I believe the next tier is the fusion pistol. And it seems like they're all just better than each other. There's no choice there whatsoever. So that's just something to consider. I'm currently standing in poison, which is also something to consider, but no, I don't think I'm going to be able to hit anything from here. I might be able to hit him, but no, I'm not liking standing in the poison, so let's just not stand in the poison, shall we? That was a fairly unfortunate initial engagement that has resulted in a lot of damage being done. Also, rather irritatingly, it seems like they can shoot through the walls of the spacecraft. Now, this is something that frequently seems to happen for whatever reason, and it is very, very curious indeed. But we'll come on to AI issues, clipping, camera control, shooting through walls, complete and total BS a little bit later on. So I could go run and gun him, or alternatively I could just run right up to him, which would actually give me cover from this side, which is optimal. And it's like, hey, close-range light plasma rifle on rapid fire should do you in, right? Yes, and it should. There's an example, actually, of the camera issues that I was talking about, and clipping issues and things like that. I've seen soldiers shoot in the wrong direction. I've seen soldiers just, like, aim upwards and then hit a guy that's to the left of them for no apparent reason. Stuff has a tendency of clipping through walls, clipping through cover, and all sorts of things like that. So it's a little dodgy in places, to say the least. Anyway, we were trying to talk about the inventory system, so why don't we actually do that, eh? Well, first things first, I really need to get this guy out of that particular position, because it's not working out so well for him. There we go, and then we can try and shoot through here. I guess it's possible just to shoot directly through that force field, so there we go. So you get to pick a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, the pistol, and then you get to pick one accessory. If you happen to be a particular class, you can carry two. So most guys just get one, which is not particularly good, really, because in the original game, and in the games that followed, i.e. XCOM, Terror from the Deep, Apocalypse, and even some of the spin-off games that weren't really the same, UFO, which is what, Aftermath, Aftershock, and Afterlight, I believe, that were made by a different company. Those games had quite a lot of inventory management. You could equip soldiers with a wide variety of different devices and carry them into battle. Now, it seems to me the design philosophy behind XCOM this time around is force you to make hard choices, and that permeates every aspect of the game. The inventory system, or lack thereof, is a prime example of that. Why? Well, because it is forcing you to choose between a wide variety of different items, and you can only really take one. Now, some people might argue that that's good. Some people like being forced to make hard choices. In some cases, I also like being forced to make hard choices. That's fine, it adds tension to the game, and it forces me to play decisively, which I definitely approve of. However, I think in this case, it's probably not a positive aspect of the game at all. Now, the argument could also be made, and I'm debating this in my mind because I am in a position where I'm really having a huge amount of fun with this game, and yet I'm still noticing a lot of problems which I wish weren't there. That's gonna miss, isn't it? Yes, it is. Oh well, never mind. It looked cool while doing it, and I guess that's the only important thing. Might be able to take him out from around that corner. I'm in this situation where I am really enjoying the game, but I am noticing things which I don't really like and which irritate me. And some of them don't even irritate me per se, they just make me kind of sad. So the counter argument to the whole inventory management thing is, oh, inventory management sucks because it takes a huge amount of micromanagement, it's tedious, and it just makes the game run much longer, which is annoying. There's also the argument, and this is pretty legitimate I might add, that the inventory system in the original game was just horribly abused. And yeah, there were a lot of exploits, there were a lot of things that you could fragrantly abuse. Is it fragrant? Is it? No, fragrantly abuse. Wow, that doesn't mean it smells nice, TotalBiscuit, get it right. Flagrantly abused. Thank you, brain. Turns out doing these videos late at night is kind of stupid. But their solution was, oh, you know what? We're just going to get rid of that entirely. And, you know, I don't think that's the best way of doing it, honestly. I really don't. I think there is a middle ground. And, honestly, the middle ground has not really been found here. They could have balanced the inventory system and still kept a reasonable amount of inventory management actually in the game, but they didn't. So that's just the way that it is. So I feel that that is a weakness. Ooh, nice shot. There we go. That's a lot of Overwatch, a lot of reaction abilities, and that is a Cyberdisc, and a Cyberdisc is going to horribly murder me.
They're trying to pull back.
Thankfully, it's being an idiot. Good. You know, I'm glad sometimes when the AI decides to do really stupid stuff. It's like, we're going to pull back and just get horribly killed by you next turn rather than firing on your troops. Has been known to happen. Alright, next issue. Let's talk about this cover system, shall we? So, I kind of like it, honestly. I think it's pretty nice. It's intuitive. I think it's definitely I wouldn't even call it a concession, but it is definitely something that has been inherited from more modern titles. It's been influenced definitely by stuff like Gears of War and just anything that involves cover. And that's not to say that it is inappropriate. Actually, it's definitely not inappropriate. That thing explodes, doesn't it? Okay, that could be a problem. I might have to move my guy out of the way, because I'm pretty sure Cyberdiscs have a tendency of exploding when you kill them, which would be unfortunate. Let's reload the shotty. Alright, Cyberdisc going down. Cyberdisc going down. There we go. I think the cover system is nice and intuitive, and it's... What's the best term to say? It gives a degree of strategy without overcomplicating things. So I think it offers some kind of mass appeal without really compromising strategy. I don't feel that that aspect of the game is dumbed down in any respect, and that's a term that some people really don't like. I think it's okay. I think it's a reasonable thing to say that aspects of the combat in this game have been dumbed down, and I've explained why to you right there. You know, the lack of action point management, the fact that the game doesn't have any inventory management of any description. Also, one thing to note is that the action point management also allowed for a wide variety of different kinds of shots. You could go for a snapshot, full auto, aimed shot. They all took different kinds of action points. You could also then spend action points to kneel, which would give you greater accuracy, and all sorts of good things like that. And that is, of course, not in the game either. Alright, you. I think he actually needs a little bit of fixer-upping, so let's get that sorted out. Oh, no, never mind. We're going to get an outsider come and try and kill us as well. Thankfully, these guys die incredibly quickly, so as long as I don't get shot by it, it shouldn't be too big a deal. Alright, who needs the fixing? I think it's him, isn't it? There we go. We can get that sorted out. Stuff like medkits and the use of some advanced accessories is still in the game, and one thing that I didn't point out is the fact that a lot of the stuff I suppose that you would end up getting as an item within the original XCOM becomes part of a ability. That sounds terrible. An ability, TotalBiscuit. Try that one instead. It's like, basic grammar, enunciation, syntax. Throw it down the drain. Tired so much. Delicious juice. So, I think you could probably say that it's not entirely fair to claim that the item variety is way, way less than the original games, because you do get the ability to level up your troops, and you gain unlocks as you do it. Now, troops gained veterancy in the original games as well, but here it's not just stats that you get. It is, in fact, ability. So if I were to go to... Who's my best guy? I think it's probably one of my colonels, isn't it? Yeah, Magic Man is, like, fully leveled up. So if you go to his abilities, you'll notice what he's got. So there's... I wouldn't call this a tree, really. It's just a very small pillar. And at certain points, you get to choose between two different abilities. Some of them seem like no-brainers, though. In this case, at least you can look at it and say, oh, well, yeah, this is a good choice between these two. But there are some that they just seem like you would really want to go for one over the other. Like, I think Squad Sight is probably one of the most obvious ones. It's just such a great upgrade for the sniper versus the other upgrade that's available. It just seems like you would always want to go for that. But I may very well be wrong. Now, the upgrade system is fairly simplistic, but what really bothers me about it is not actually the fact that it's there. It's more the fact that the class system just assigns you classes for no apparent reason at all. I really don't know why that is. They decided, oh, this guy's going to be a sniper or whatever. It's funny because we had the live stream a couple of days ago when I was playing this, and I had the guy that missed every single shot become a sniper, and the guy that was pulling off these astonishingly great shots just through these tiny little cracks in the cover, half a freaking level away, he became a support. So it's like, what? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think it would be nicer if you were just maybe given a set of credits, for instance, and then you were able to spend those credits to assign different classes. Or even if the system was just more transparent, it just seems to be random, which I don't really like. Maybe there's a factor that determines what your troops will become, but I don't think so. And especially when you get, there's an upgrade you can get. Let's go to the officer training school. If you get new guy, new soldiers are automatically promoted to squaddy rank, so they don't even get to see any action at all to determine what their class would be, so I have to assume it's all random, which I'm definitely not a fan of. Alright, since we're in the base, let's have a look at what is available here. So, research is as you might expect. You research something, and whether or not you actually have the materials for it determines whether or not you can actually do it. I don't have the materials here to research plasma pistol. I need 40 weapon fragments, as well as a plasma pistol, 5 Illyrium to actually make that happen. They're currently in the process of researching a skeleton suit, which is supposedly a nice piece of armor with a grappling hook attached to it. Now, what I will say is there are some very interesting pieces of technology in this game. The skeleton suit is a good early example. There are ridiculous things like the Archangel suit later on in the game, which has jump jets. There's something called Titan armor, which is supposedly ridiculous. And yeah, they go up to 11 when it comes to technology, and that's good. I like that. Though I have to say, perhaps that does reveal... words. Try words. I would say that does perhaps remove some of the terror from the game. When you're running around in a giant armored mecha suit, it's like, well, nothing can really scare me, honestly, and the terror is something that I feel the game has lost. It definitely still has tension. When you play it on classic difficulty, yeah, it's tense, it's tricky, there's no question, and losing a very valuable trooper to a lucky critical hit or whatever, and then of course having to roll the dice on every single shot, yeah, there's a lot of tension in that. Some people might not like that. I think that I had a problem with a game called Blood Bowl, actually. that caused all manner of rage from me because that game is so RNG, and there's some dice rolling in this game. That's something you've just got to accept. Alright, actually, I could actually build a plasma rifle. That might be quite nice. Could do that. I think I was also going to manufacture a shiv, actually. Haven't done that yet. Yeah, we should probably build one of these. I would like to deploy this. I do have a couple of upgrades for it. So I think we might build... Yeah, let's build a shiv. Why not? I've got plenty of alloys. It's going to take 7 days. Okay. It should be fine. And I believe... Yeah, I now cannot afford the plasma sniper rifle or the plasma rifle, but hey, that's the way that it will be. So you can construct items, and you can also build facilities. So this is the facility map. This is how it works. You burrow down into the earth, you unlock these areas, you excavate them, and then you build stuff. And you can build certain kinds of buildings next to each other in order to get an adjacency bonus. So I'm building an Elerium generator next to this thermo generator, and they will generate additional power as a direct result of that. So you want to try and do that as much as possible. I believe I'm trying to gather what I need in order to build a satellite nexus, which is going to require power. That's why I'm building the Elerium generator. And then hopefully I'm going to build another satellite nexus next to that, which will give me, I believe, 2 bonus satellites, which would be absolutely wonderful. So you might be wondering what the hell a satellite system is all about. So this is an interesting thing. You can launch satellites into space in order to cover various areas of the world, and when you do that, it reduces their panic rating. It also means that they're going to give you money every month, as well as different bonuses. If you have complete satellite coverage of a continent, then you generally get a special passive bonus after that. It also means that you can spot UFOs, and you can launch interceptors in order to bring them down. So it's fairly important to have high satellite coverage. However, it is unfortunately possible that your satellites can actually get shot down later on in the game. There we go. Argentina and Japan have left the XCOM project because, well, they're stupid, one has to assume. Although I'm having problems with Egypt and Nigeria, and the UK is getting just a little bit panicky, which I am not liking at all. You also get quests every now and again. These are pending requests from the council. They're going to ask you for stuff. Usually it means, give us some of your artifacts or build us a few things and we'll give you something in return. And it's usually worth doing that. You can also sell stuff on the grey market, as it's called. And you can see I got some stuff there. This is damaged, so there's no point in me keeping it. So I can just sell that for cash immediately. And that is a wonderful thing indeed, because I need to get the money in order to build my satellite nexus at some point. You might want to be a little bit careful with what you sell, though, because some of this stuff is required for research and things like that. Overall, I'd say the base building aspect is reasonable. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's very nicely visually represented. As you can see, you can zoom all the way in and check out all manner of different stuff, actually. As you can see, you can go all the way into there, and you can just see a reasonable amount of detail as well. In the barracks, you've got troops running on their little running machines or whatever. Unfortunately, they can't generate power for the base. That would be wonderful. You can also have a look at the memorial. Those are the guys that died. Yes, I definitely miss Major Richter. She was kind of a machine, and then she got sniped off by a lucky critical hit, which was unfortunate. But that's the way of XCOM. People die. That's just the nature of the beast. How these satellite nexuses are actually working underground, I have no idea, but common sense, apparently not. Now, there's one other aspect I would like to cover, which is Interception. Now, Interception in this game doesn't really have an awful lot to it. It never really has in any of the XCOM games. It's always been, deploy your interceptor, they'll shoot at each other, and then hopefully the UFO crashes. This game's got the same kind of thing. Obviously, you can customize your interceptors with different weapons, which is almost mandatory. There are also different kinds of interceptors that you can research later on in the game. And there is also the ability to use these one-off consumables to give your interceptor an edge in harder fights, but that really is about it. There's no control, there's no strategy really involved in the interception at all. So it's something that I think they maybe phoned in a little bit, and perhaps if they wanted to make some changes, that's a place that they could have gone to. Also, you only have one Sky Ranger, which is really weird. So the Sky Ranger is your dropship. It takes you to different areas in the world in order to, of course, carry out your missions, and you do all of that through mission control, which is right here. And, you know, that's the look at the world there. However, every now and again you're going to get alien abductions, and they're always going to offer you 3 of them, and yet you can only ever deal with 1 of them. This is another example of this whole hard choice nonsense that they seem to bring in. You must choose. Like, why? Why must I choose? I've got loads of soldiers. Why can't I have a second Sky Ranger? It restricts you to 1 base, which I don't really mind. That's fine. Okay, 1 base, I'm not really too worried about that. That's okay. But only 1 Sky Ranger? Why? Why force me into this hard choice scenario? It just seems artificial. It seems like, well, we really wanted to give you choices and make the situation seem very grim indeed, but it just ends up seeming ridiculous. Like, I've got a veritable army in my base. I've got loads of cash. Are you seriously telling me that I can't get another dropship and then go and deal with more than 1 abduction at a time? Surely I could do that. So it seems overly gamey and contrived in order to create artificial challenge, which I don't like. You know, I'm laying a lot of negatives on this game, but I'm still enjoying the hell out of it. So why don't I tell you why I'm enjoying the hell out of it? I think it's mostly because of the atmosphere that the game continues to generate. It doesn't have the whole terror aspect, because it doesn't have aliens shooting from the darkness before you can even see them and things like that. In fact, aliens theatrically announce themselves, which I find to be absolutely ridiculous. You get in range of aliens and they will then trigger a little cutscene, but stupidly enough, they can actually trigger the cutscene after they've moved towards you, which is weird because it doesn't make any sense. They're clearly ready and primed for action, and then it suddenly appears in a little cutscene that they've been surprised by you. It's like, they're not surprised by you, they just moved towards you, they spotted you in the first place. What's going on there? Aliens also then get a free move after that, which I'm not really sure what the design rationale behind that actually is, but it is there. Alright, so focus I think now needs to be the construction of this satellite nexus. You see these 2 linked together. I have probably enough power for the rest of my base now. I need a satellite nexus. I need 300 of whatever the hell these credits are, so I'm going to make some money. I'm going to sell some, I wouldn't even say some junk, but I need to sell some stuff. It's as simple as that. I need to keep a hold of the alien alloys because they're very, very valuable, but I could probably sell some corpses of sectoids and floaters. You know, I can get more of these. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. Let's sell some muton corpses as well. Probably some chrysalid corpses too. There we go. Excellent. Okay, and I now have the cash required in order to build that facility, and things will hopefully get a lot better when I have 4 additional satellites in the air able to detect all of this nonsense. There is this impending feeling of emergency and imminent dread, however. The terror aspect of the missions isn't really there, but there is tension, and I think that the way that the game paces itself and presents the overall global crisis effectively generates this impending doom feel, which is awesome. I am a huge fan of that. As I said, that all contributes to the atmosphere of the game. I also really like the cutscenes, and I didn't expect that I would say that, but yeah, I really do like the cutscenes. They add so much to the game. They add so much flavor to the game. The 3 main characters are pretty cool as well. They often interact very nicely. They've got some pretty well-written dialogue, which the soldiers don't, by the way. Let me demonstrate something silly. So, my soldiers are, as you can see, a multinational team of crack recruits. However, they all sound like this.
Roger that.
Yes, Commander.
Yes, Commander. Copy that.
Yes, Commander.
Affirmative. Aye, aye, Commander.
Good to go.
As you can tell, he's extremely German. Yeah, I don't even know what they were thinking there. That was a very, very silly thing indeed. Ooh, that's a pretty cool set of armor. And of course you can make it bright pink. Soldier customization is there, and I very much like that. It actually, there is a good gameplay reason for it as well. It allows you to easily distinguish between your units on the battlefield. So yes, Magic Man, also known as Ernst Kraus, will be in his pink power armor because why not? And that nicely clashes with the color of the plasma rifle he happens to be holding. So there you go. Okay. So what else do I like about the game? I think it just comes down to the fact that it is just simple, well-executed, elegant squad tactics, and we just don't have enough of that. You've got randomly generated missions that keep things fresh, and it's still satisfying to just go into a mission, take cover, and kill aliens. It is the simple joy of slaughter, and it is the simple joy of tactical slaughter, and if you play it on the right difficulty, then the tension is there as well, so that really builds up the atmosphere of the missions. Presentation-wise, the game is for the most part top-notch. There are some problems. The idea of being able to shoot people through solid walls, for instance, is just silly, but it does happen from time to time. There are animations which are decoupled for whatever reason. They end up doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. You can end up shooting and apparently hitting this guy right in the head, and yet it counts as a miss. So they don't properly distinguish between a miss and a hit at times. There's the aspect that I mentioned earlier about aiming in completely the wrong direction, especially if you happen to be in point-blank range. I don't even know what's going on with that. That's just ridiculous. There's also the camera, and this isn't just a presentation problem. The problem with the camera is that there's only 4 ways to tilt it. You can't move it with the middle mouse button or anything like that. It's just a case of press Q and E to flip between 4 different camera angles, and it's not necessarily ideal. In fact, more often than not, it definitely isn't. So, yeah, that's unfortunate to say the least. I should probably research Illyria and find out what's going on with it. So I definitely don't like that. And also in some of the randomly generated missions, you get these really big height maps around the side, and that causes the camera to go ballistic at times. I even had one situation where I was inside an alien craft, and every single turn, it insisted on making the camera go all the way to the top of the craft rather than staying indoors as I wanted. So that was just annoying. I think the game is unfortunately suffering from a number of bugs, and I think that they definitely need to get that resolved. It's a kind of standard Firaxis thing that the game launches with quite a few bugs here and there. A lot of them are cosmetic, some are not. I've noticed some really odd AI tendencies. Floaters in one of my playthroughs just refused to fire at me. They flipped backwards and forwards with completely erratic movement and never actually shot at my troops, and that was wonderful for me, but I don't even know what was going on with the AI there. That was just insane. Alright. Let us deploy, shall we? Let's rock and or roll, whichever comes first. Oh, Colonel Kraus, you are looking particularly wonderful today. I don't think actually... Do I have carapace armor for him? I don't, and that makes me feel very bad. I'm very solid, Nuke, but, well, very sorry, Nuke. I don't have words today. I don't. Remind me never, ever, ever to do videos late at night again. That's just a stupid, stupid thing, but... I wanted to get my thoughts on the game down and demonstrate it to people, I think. Alright, do we have a med kit? Yes, we do. Alright, let's launch. This could be one of our hardest missions yet, so let's rock and or roll and see how this one ends up turning out. But hopefully we can sort out some of the panic issues in Africa. Alright, let's rock and roll. Most of these missions consist of just killing stuff, which is fine. The alien abduction stuff is always just kill stuff. There are some other types of mission. Terror missions have civilians, and you are tasked with saving as many as possible. You are also given missions every now and again that are given to you by the council, which often involve hostage rescue and things like that. So they're escort missions, but they're pretty reasonable because you can just tell the guy to just keep his head down, which is really perhaps the best possible option a lot of the time. I really should better just toss out a battle scanner, but hey, I keep feeling I even have that ability. There's some nice aspects of the terrain as well. The cars have a tendency of exploding, which makes them reasonable cover, at least until they set themselves on fire, and then stuff starts to get a little bit ugly. And I like the number of tactical decisions that I have to make in order to make sure that my soldiers actually stay in cover, and don't, of course, get blown up. The terrain is fully destructible, which is wonderful. But that's what you'd expect from an XCOM game, right? I mean, the original game had that. So what else is there to say? I think that progression-wise, the game does things well. I think that perhaps there are aspects of it which are just a tad too linear, and I would definitely like to see something later on in the game that is actually considered a side grade or a real choice. In this case, like, basic weapons to laser weapons to plasma weapons. They're all just better across the board. There's no reason to have a plasma weapon on... never mind, let's try that again. There's no reason to have a laser weapon if you have a plasma weapon available, because those weapons are just always better. Uh-oh, I'm suppressed. And I am right next to a car that's going to explode. This is going to end up being particularly ugly. I completely caught out there, actually. That was really, really bad by me to even allow them to pull that off. Alright. I'll take the risk of the shot. It's probably not going to hit, but we'll go with it anyway. There's an example, by the way, of something that looks like it's going to hit, but doesn't, so it's a little annoying. We're going to go run and gun and go mow down a few fools, I think. Is he suppressed? No, I don't think it's him that's suppressed, it's someone else, so I think we can get around the side here. So we're going to run and gun, and his face is going to come off. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. There's a muton there. I think maybe there's another muton around the side there as well, but... I guess we'll find him in a minute. Nope, you're not going to hit me with that. Lightning reflex is a wonderful thing. The game has a metric ton of content. The addition of the multiplayer has made things even more interesting. Even though I have no intention of actually playing the bloody thing, I like the fact that it's even there. Drone down. Nicely played. Excellent. Missions do take a while. Not as long as the original game, certainly, but at the end of the day, I've still put in an absurd amount of time into the game so far, and I feel like I have barely scratched the surface. You're going down. And that's a good thing. That is definitely good value for money. So, the game has a laundry list of problems. I definitely take issue with certain choices when it comes to the design. I take issue with the number of bugs the game has. I think that those need to be polished out. However, the question simply is it a worthy successor to XCOM? And I don't think I can really argue that it isn't. It is great. It is an incredibly fun game in its own right. And that's one of the real problems with making a game that is the successor to something that is considered to be an absolute complete classic. It's difficult. It's very difficult. It is absurdly difficult to pull off. And the fact that Firaxis have even managed to make a game that is playable and enjoyable boggles my mind. It's not that they don't do that on a regular basis, it's just that they've just taken a franchise that wasn't theirs, and yet they have made a game that stands on its own 2 feet in a modern setting. It is... Even though I would say that it is simplified in comparison to the original games, it is nonetheless a hardcore title through and through. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to try and take down this cyberdisk, and then probably stay up till 6 in the morning continuing to play this game. The fact that I continue to play it is perhaps the biggest endorsement I could ever give it. I want to revisit this game later on when I have more cogent thoughts and when I'm not half asleep. But I did want to get this video out as soon as possible so that you could actually get an impression of my opinions on the game. Heavily flawed, but also astonishingly brilliant. Flawed gems are my favorite kind of games, I think, honestly. I think it shows a great degree of skill and precision, as well as, of course, creative flair to turn the XCOM franchise into what I am playing right now. And I'm enjoying what I'm playing right now. Simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been a few thoughts on the matter of XCOM. I should go to bed, but you know what? There's more aliens to kill. So I'm going to go deal with that. My name has been TotalBiscuit, and I shall see you next time.